Here are some examples of Nuno felt. They're made with merino wool and silk chiffon, a marriage made in heaven. Soft against the skin and gossamer, yet texturized and full of character. Nuno Felting is perfect for lightweight garments, especially scarves and wraps. When people first see Nuno Felting, they're often very fascinated by it because they can't figure out how that happened. They think it's sewn or knitted or something like that, but it isn't. It's simply the migration of the wool fibers through a piece of fabric, much like the wet felting process, but a little bit different. So in a nutshell, Nuno Felting is laying the wool out onto the fabric and doing the pressure and agitation with the rolling, as with the wet felting, and then these little individual fibers are going to migrate and work their way through the fabric itself. It's going to take a lot more gentle of a touch and takes a lot more time because you don't want it to felt first. You want it to go through the fabric first, and then we work on the felting and the fulling. And when it's all incorporated into the fabric, and then you start to shrink it, it takes the fabric with it, and that's what causes the little bumps and ridges, and that is called ruching. And that's what makes this beautiful, beautiful effect. So, the first part of it is simply working the wool through. The second part of it is drawing it up, however much wrinkles you want. Sometimes you want a lot of wrinkles, sometimes you want it smooth. And you don't have to cover the whole surface with wool. You can leave some spots without wool at all, making sort of a silk bubble. The kind of fabric that you need to pick out for Nuno Felting is preferably a natural fiber. That works best. Something that is either very, very loose weave, this is a cotton gauze, or my personal favorite is silk chiffon. It really does work the best, and the end product is just really drapey and luxurious. And if you haven't wet felted yet, I would really, really strongly suggest that you go ahead and do a couple of wet felting projects so that you get used to the feel of it, how things act, and just to get your hands into the whole process first before you start Nuno Felting. I'm not saying it's difficult, but I think it's a good first step before you try this one. The first series has a list of, has a video of equipment and supplies that you might need for wet felting, so you can review that video for Nuno Felting because it's almost the same, except you don't need the bamboo mats. There's also a supplies list on the website if you'd like to check that out. So let's get started.